As an entrepreneur exploring the potential of glamping, you are bound to be hunting out the biggest opportunities in outdoor hospitality. So we were lucky enough to speak with Antonio Gonzalez from OOD House to benefit from his expertise and find out what's hot and what's not in unique hospitality. Antonio is the president of OOD House with multiple startups under his belt. He heads up their North American division and brings with him a wealth of experience of engineering, hospitality tech, hotel, Department of the Interior, Leave No Trace Board, and all kinds of other things. OOD House itself is seeing a huge growth with mirror houses across the US as the rise of unique stays and nature-focused immersive experiences increase. So in this episode, we cover the emerging trends coming out, the markets, the different niche segments, what you should be paying attention to, how technology and innovation are shaping the industry, the opportunities created as a result, and the inevitable challenges. So what are the untapped markets and what are the underserved demographics? And how can you get your business branding on point, and so much more. So remember to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a future episode, and please leave a review to thank Antonio and my other guests for their valuable advice. This is episode 17. Welcome to the Glamping Americas podcast, the place for inspiration about the business of upscale camping, glamping, and luxury outdoor guest accommodations. I'm Sarah Riley from the Glamping Academy, and I'm working with my friends at the Glamping Show Americas to share everything you need to know about new trends, events, business models, and investment potential in the rapidly growing world of luxury camping that delivers an experience. Interest in this industry is exploding, so if you want to be the first to find out what's hot and what's not, subscribe here and check out the show notes for more exciting news and links. And be sure to add the next Glamping Show Americas to your calendar for the 1st and 2nd of October 2024 near Denver, Colorado. I can't wait. So Antonio, fantastic for you to spare some time to chat. It's really beneficial for everyone, our listeners and us, to learn from you and the vast experience that you have. So we're really, really grateful for that. And I wanted to tap into your knowledge to find out a little bit about the current landscape in the outdoor hospitality industry, because it's shifting and it's changing a lot. But because of glamping, because of this luxury outdoor camping, I think we're seeing a little bit of a momentum in growth of different trends, different products, new outcomes, and everything else in terms of the guest experience. And I wondered, from your perspective, how do you think it has been evolving in recent years?
Yeah, good question. So I think from the very get-go, I think there's now been a big focus on experiential type of stays. So the unique stays, really focusing on the guest experience, is what we have seen time and time again, right? So a lot of the growth, a lot of what these younger, newer, more innovative companies are doing is that they're thinking about the guest experience first, and then focusing on what sort of physical products, what sort of accommodations would follow. And so there's a definite, especially with a younger audience, or the next generation of glampers or campers or outdoor enthusiasts, the Instagram worthiness of a site, the Instagram worthiness of a product, is what people want to experience. I think there's also with a close eye or a focus on sustainable, eco-friendly types of sites and accommodations, and places where people can actually see that someone has taken on a bit of methodology or a bit of thinking of how to keep land the way it is. So not disturbing the land, thinking very insightful around land conservation, outdoor ethics. And I think so. I think that's another huge area of growth and of shifting, of mind shifting that has happened recently, along with health and wellness. I think more and more uh, of these sites and more of these products cater to guests that are looking to up the ante when it comes to health and wellness, and that it's a broad spectrum, right? It's everything from wellness around disconnecting. We do a very unique job ourselves when folks stay in an OOD site where we give them a detox box, and people are actually putting their phones in a detox box. That means they're completely disconnecting and not opening that box until the end of their trip. We also very much similar to some other companies that are looking at other product innovations, our saunas around the whole Nordic cycle of hot and cold is also another sort of thing that a lot of site operators are really wanting to provide those sort of amenities to their guests.
That's really interesting about the box. How have you found people responding to that? Have they been really willing to do it, or do they need to be persuaded?
No, I think it's I mean, you can think about it as a gimmicky thing, but it definitely is something that people really do. And we get those sort of reviews and those sort of comments that it was one of those things that they looked at it at first and kind of shrugged and kind of really smirked at it and said, do we really want to do this? But I think it really has helped. I think if you give people the opportunity for them to not look at their phones or just completely, we love to say that you need to disconnect to connect with nature and what you're doing out there. I think it really helps people to kind of to put that phone away, not be connected to the network, and really enjoy nature for what it is.
Mm. I think it always comes down to, doesn't it, giving the guest the choice. So helping them understand the benefits of putting their phone in that box, but also allowing them to understand that they can get it back if they want to. There's
That's
yeah, we don't want to be having a fight with our guests, especially when some people need to work. But there's a bit of a trend coming out that we've noticed, which is where people are nomadic workers now. They're not so much going to the office anymore, even though they're working for a corporation. And one of the things that we have noticed is that a lot of glamping sites and unique camping sites, they are opening up their site to work with a
mm,
business to offer this kind of stay. So it's a bit
mm,
longer. It allows for Wi-Fi and other experiences and services to be added on top. So someone can actually be somewhere and working in a different environment, still
right.
working, but having a different experience. I mean, what do you think about that as a new trend?
I mean, we ourselves are in it. I mean, from the standpoint that we have a product that caters to nomadic workers and the trend of remote work. So we typically have we call this dry cabin or this little mini office that provides people still some very amazing views out of the panels and out of the mirror glass that we provide with our units. And more and more people are looking at that as a true business. And so we've been helping someone actually put these sort of co-working remote offices on golf courses. And so I think they're up to about 20 of the offices in different golf courses across the US. And they're not looking to slow down one bit because it is looking to be something of a trend. in terms of offering folks the ability to still be somewhere beautiful, but doesn't necessarily need to be in a high rise or some swanky office. It could be in one of our offices or one of our pods, still having beautiful views and taking advantage of the whole re remote work and environment to not be in a stuffy office where
Mm.
you can't necessarily get some natural light in and take advantage of that. And people seem to work longer if they're happier inside of one of our units. People seem to say, well, look, I've been here for 8 hours a day. I don't mind maybe pushing that to 10 hours a day if it's a great, comfortable experience for them.
Yeah, and it feels like they're not missing out on anything, even though they're working, because they're right in it almost,
Yep.
and they can
Good
just
point.
pop out and do whatever they want in between time. I mean, it sounds like heaven, really.
Right.
Are there any other trends that you've seen that are coming into outdoor hospitality? Maybe something that could open up some opportunities for other entrepreneurs to tap into as they come in?
Yeah, I think I mean, I talked earlier about the immersive, sustainable, eco-friendly type of either structures or sites that more and more people are catering towards. But I think there's an opportunity to even address some underserved kind of demographics within nature, hospitality, and outdoors. I mean, some of those are catering towards families with young children, especially pet owners as well. Pets and the outdoors seem to be something that is, I mean, correlate quite nicely. So ensuring that there is a site or there is accommodations that would cater to owners taking a pet, I think is a big thing. Something that a lot of folks don't necessarily think about ahead of time. And look, I mean, there's also some more and more sites that are catering to people with disabilities and ADA compliant and ensuring that you're not other folks aren't missing out on the experience. So I think there's those sort of sections of the underserved communities that need also to experience great sites and great products and really awesome experiences in nature and the outdoors. And it's something that we also play around with every day with our design team and our engineering teams in terms of how to either expand our product line, our portfolio of products to some of these other individuals.
The great thing about tapping into some of those that you mentioned there, especially with disabilities, they are such underserved communities and segments of the customers that when they find somewhere that's amazing and really suits all of their needs, they do not hold back. They talk to all of their networks about it, and it's a great bit of word of mouth marketing that you can tap into. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's really valuable information. And one of the things that I've noticed about OOD House is that, and hotels, is that you really focus in on your USP. So you focus in on your USP and your niche, and you really stick with that. So, you know, you value and understand the value of just funneling down into that specific thing, and you're not tempted by wanting to be everything to everybody. You recognize that by being everything to everybody, you're going to be nothing to no one. So instead, what you've done is you've made your branding, everything, and your product very strong. So is
Right.
there a lot of value in that? Would you advise, now having gone down your path for such a long time, would you continue to advise that that's a really good thing to do in terms of niching down?
I believe so, and you hit the nail on the head that look, there's one thing that we really think about and that we really kind of hone in on is making something for people, for a few people to love rather than making something for lots of people to like, right? So I think it's really focusing on your market and the folks that you really want them to be huge advocates of your product, right? If you can do anything else as an entrepreneur or as a startup founder, is ensuring that can you find that first set of people that love your product, not that like your product, but that love your product, because that sort of customer, one, is going to stick with you for the long haul. That sort of customer is going to be a big advocate of your product, of your brand. And end of the day, you're going to put all your resources into ensuring that you're capturing that sort of customer. So I think it's something to be said that if you could focus as an entrepreneur, focus as a business leader on what it is that you do well, and you capture that single audience of people that love your product, that can't stop talking about your product, I think you're well on to a very successful path of growth.
Absolutely. And especially if, like you grasp the opportunities that are being delivered around technology and innovation and everything else that's coming along, which we were talking about briefly before we went on air. But I mean, is there something specifically that you think that new entrepreneurs should be aware of in terms of new technology and innovation in this industry?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mentioned earlier, Sarah, that one of my former startups went through an accelerator, an incubator called Y Combinator, which is a accelerator based out of Silicon Valley, San Francisco. It's where Airbnb got their start. I guess it's no longer fun to be a unicorn, but now you got to be a decacorn, which means you got to be worth over $10 billion for you to hang out with the cool kids. But I think there's something to be said that if your business doesn't have technology, if your business doesn't have an innovative product, especially around software, then you don't really have a business. Just because things are changing so quickly in the technology space, in the software space. I mean, at OOD, we definitely focus and put a lot of effort into that. So we have our beautifully designed mirrored houses, offices, saunas, but at the same time, we have our own tech stack, which means that we offer our own booking platform to partners and to customers where you can actually book our units across the world, right? And in over 40 countries, you can find where the houses are, you can book those. You can kind of leave reviews, interact with other guests that have stayed there, because we're trying to build out a community, right? And the only way to be able to get to that sort of span of customers and guests is through tech and is through what we're doing from a technology, digital marketing standpoint. So end to end, we'd like to say that we're both we offer a software product and then we offer a hardware product, and the real magic happens in between those two.
And essentially what you're doing is making it much easier for the person who's buying your services to actually use them successfully, because you're bringing them guests, aren't you? So I mean, and that's fantastic. And we were talking very briefly about AI and all that kind of technology and what that's bringing in, but also, you know, how you need to use the technology on your even your structures to make them more
Mm.
eco-friendly, nature-friendly. And we were talking about that in terms of the mirror. And tell me a little bit about what happened there in, what you've done with the mirrored structure to make it safe for nature.
Yeah, so we do provide an immersive product, and there's nothing more immersive than actually seeing the pure reflection of nature around where our houses are basically deployed. So we've worked with our vendor, our glass vendor, our panel vendor, to provide a glazing on each of the panels. And we also use ultraviolet UV stickers on these panels. This glazing and these stickers are not visible to the human eye, but they are visible to birds, which there has been a lot of chatter around how many birds we kill. Trust me, I am very much an animal lover myself, so I don't like to hear that our structures and our houses will do that. But at the end of the day, we are looking at different technologies like these UV stickers that go onto our houses that provide a very safe setting for birds. So you won't necessarily get birds basically crashing into the panels because of what they see and on not a pure reflection of what's in front of them, but there's actual images of birds, or you can do other decals to put on there. But again, they're not visible to the human eye, visible to especially birds to prevent any sort of crashing to there. It's always interesting when you see other animals like deer or some sort of big cat walking by. They might glance at the reflectiveness of the panels. Knock on wood, none of them have ever kind of tried to scratch at it. But yeah, I think most of the work that we've done is to avoid any sort of bird hitting our units.
Mm. Which I think is brilliant. It's really important, isn't it, to protect the local environment, the flora, the fauna, and everything else. Otherwise, why are we doing what we're doing? That's the whole point, isn't it? Helping people to enjoy nature, be in nature without it having a negative impact on nature.
That's right.
And the great thing is it allows the guests to sit inside, to have a look out, to watch nature go by, literally their windows. And
Right.
I always say to people, the more we can get just Joe Public to love and embrace nature, the more
Yeah.
they will work hard to try to protect it as we go forward with our challenges around global warming and everything else. So I
Right.
think that being allowing people to sit in that environment where they feel safe, they feel warm, but they can see everything going on outside is fantastic. And I particularly like the one that you've got in the Arctic, which
Mm.
has got the stargazing roof as well.
Yeah.
I mean, how did that project come about?
Yeah, that's a project that was led with our European operations in Estonia. And so the Glassy House, that's kind of the brand name or the product name that we've come up with, really started with the Northern Lights in Norway. And so the design was to really, again, similar to what we do with our reflective panels, was to take it up a notch and allow guests to be able to be immersed into a stargazing opportunity. And so we get that request a lot. I know a lot of product manufacturers also have toyed around with different windows and different openings for folks to be able to, or for guests to be able to lay in their bed, be able to look out, enjoy the stars, enjoy the northern lights. And so that is definitely what the customer in Alaska has looked for. And so our product really fit the bill in offering a luxury experience, but at the same time being able to enjoy nature all around it. So that product is a product that works very well in those sort of environments. And it allows, again, it just allows a different experience for people to be able to enjoy not just the almost 270-degree view of what's around them in the horizon, but be able to look out and look up and really capture the night sky.
Especially during those times when we have those starbursts and all kinds of
Yeah.
other shooting stars. In fact, we had here in the UK, we had a Northern Lights show this week.
Yes.
It was incredible. And literally in my back garden, you could see the Northern Lights. It was just insane. Normally that would not happen. It was a complete. Did you have similar where you were?
Yes, we just got done with a 16-unit deployment out in Golden Beach, Oregon, on a vineyard, beautiful property out there. And lo and behold, the first night we were out there deploying this number of units, we had a chance to see a very, very similar probably experience that you guys all had in the UK of the Northern Lights in the out in the sea of the Pacific. So it was fantastic. It was really
Mm.
beautiful. It's
It was
great.
incredible, really incredible. So, in terms of what we were talking about before, which is to do with sustainability and eco-friendliness and everything else, it, are you seeing that this is becoming a big driver in the Americas, particularly in North America, around new businesses wanting to be focused or wanting to focus on more eco-friendly products and services? Is this something that you're seeing?
It is. So in a former life, I was involved with the Department of the Interior out of Washington, D.C. I sat on an advisory board around land conservations across all the U.S. national parks. And a lot of it was very much trying to educate the public on what it means to be sustainable and what it means to be eco-friendly and the principles, the first principles of leave no trace were something that we really wanted as an advisory board to be able to get out there to the public. And so for those individuals that have been able to visit national parks or state parks in the US, really getting an understanding of kind of what is happening around climate change, what is happening around everything that we're seeing with global warming. And I know there's on both sides of the arena, there's folks that believe in it. There's other folks that tend not to believe in it. But look, I think for us, um, companies and entrepreneurs in this space, that we can actually have a voice and are really in nature almost every day. Some days I'm stuck in a factory, which isn't very nature-esque, but the moment I'm able to get out, I really value what we have done overall as a group of entrepreneurs that do think very, very hard on ensuring how our products, how our guests, how everyone uses the outdoors in order to make sure that for generations to come that they're going to have the same sort of experience. So it's something that I teach my children. It's something that I teach my friends and family. But again, I think having the floor and having the ability to be a founder and to be someone that can move the needle, at least with our customers that we love to interact with every time they stay in our units around everything that we're doing. Our products, our material selection starts with a very sustainable, eco-friendly kind of mindset. And so it's from the very get-go that we start to think about what sort of materials we're choosing that isn't something that could be harmful to the environment, something that could be harmful to nature, something that could be harmful to wildlife. So from the very get-go, our teams have that in mind. And then as we think about where these units are deployed, we also run our own sites as flagships. So we understand how our units are being used, how our houses are being used every day by guests, every day by operators, because we ourselves are a part of that group. And so we get a lot of these learnings from our guests that come directly to us and really kind of voice their kind of content and their happiness of having such a luxurious stay in something that is good for nature and good for the environment. And that's why we love to say we're in the nature hospitality business, not the kind of glamping business. Nature
Mm.
hospitality is what we're known for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are, the word glamping is misunderstood by many as well. It's interpreted in different ways, and there are very many different standards of glamping. So I can understand why you use it in a different way. So one of the things I was really interested in was your branding, because you have got some great branding. It's very recognizable, and the name is really easy to remember, and that's part of branding, isn't it? Firstly, to help people feel a certain way when they see your branding and they interact with your branding, but also that it's very memorable. And it's something that people can recall very easily, because we are in a world full of so many different distractions, and it's really easy to forget stuff, and then you don't know, you can't find it again when you want to go back to it. And that's the last thing you want when you've got your customers coming along and they can't remember where they saw you, but they know you're around, and they can't find you. So from your perspective, you've obviously used branding to your benefit for your company. I mean, what would you give to as advice to new people coming into the industry when they're thinking about their branding and their name and everything else? Is there something that you would particularly highlight they should be focusing in on?
Yeah, look, I think I mean, you're very kind with a lot of the words that you mentioned around our brand and everything that we do. And we do try extremely hard to ensure that we're very consistent with our branding and our messaging more and more. I will go back to the idea of making something that people want first and foremost. Right? I think that will really set your brand apart, and it'll keep the uniqueness, and it'll keep everything more focused um, to having ideas, but at the same time being able to center your brand around a true product. And so our branding is something that we think about every day. We're still a young company, so we still got a long way to go to be a recognizable brand, right? I think if you think about some of these iconic brands like Nike or Microsoft or even McDonald's, right? I mean, you look at that brand, you look at that swoosh, you write, and the very next thing you think about is just the "Just Do It" slogan that comes with that brand. And so we ourselves are positioning ourselves to be the brand around nature hospitality, the brand of the mixing and the blending of luxurious stays, as well as a very kind of nature immersive stay. So we want to continue to push the envelope from a product kind of introduction standpoint, but be very intent with our branding. And our branding is something that, again, we have worked on quite a bit in making sure that we get it right. But at the same time, we also feel that we get a lot of feedback from customers around what the brand means to them. And so the whole slogan of disconnecting to connecting, the whole kind of notion of being immersive, having the reflections that we have on our panels allows for us to really kind of pull in from a lot of different areas what our brand really stands for. And if we can kind of continue to evolve around that, then I think it'll be something that that we'll have an opportunity here to really kind of set the stage for what we are doing with our product, what we're doing with our design, and what are we doing with our overall intentions to be that number one brand in outdoor and nature hospitality.
So, if you were advising somebody coming into the industry now and they're starting from step one, because of your experience both in, development or a developer of a product and also providing hospitality, providing a booking platform, and all of those kinds of things, but tapping into that expertise that you've got, what advice would you give someone coming in now and that you believe would help them have the most impact fast? What would you say should be their step one?
I believe that people got to get started now, right? I think there's a lot of paralysis analysis type of research that happens with first time founders and people that want to get started, that they want to launch the perfect product or they want to launch the perfect software. There's nothing more important when starting a business than talking to your customers and talking to your customers early. And so there's an opportunity for people to do that, especially when you are young, because you can always fall back and say, hey, I know this isn't perfect. We're doing a bunch of dumb things here, but I still want to get feedback, right? I think that's a very different sort of conversation than trying to be perfect to someone and then basically getting dumped on by a potential customer that, again, doesn't really love your product but might like your product. Are you really kind of getting some good information? So I think there's another key thing to think about as you're starting a new venture or a business, and it's doing things that don't scale. So what does that kind of mean, right? So, and I'll give you an example of someone who has done this very well. So Airbnb, when it first started off, right, something that they did something that couldn't scale was they offered professional photography for the earliest customers. That meant that you had people going into people's apartments, Airbnb employees doing all the photography. At some point, that was not going to be achievable, right? And so people then started taking their own photographs and they started putting their own photos up in online. And so doing things that don't scale allows for entrepreneurs and founders to really kind of, I mean, get things going and try different things in terms of what the business may need. So if you're able to talk to customers, do some of these things that don't scale, and look, I mean, the one word that resonates with me and other entrepreneurs that I've talked to and spent time with is that growth is a good metric, right? You need to have growth in order to ensure that you have uh, the ultimate product market fit. That means that there are customers out there that are dying to have your product, that want to have your product, and that sort of growth line or growth curve will grow exponentially as more and more customers come to you. But I think those three things are true kind of guides for starting a business and a venture.
I couldn't agree more, especially your first point around don't hold back hoping things going to be perfect because you're just procrastinating. Better done than perfect. I'm always telling people. In fact, really interestingly, last night I was involved in, I have a glamping community, and one of the members was launching their new business. They'd done so much, it was pretty much perfect, and yet they still hadn't pressed the button to allow people, guests, to make their bookings. They were just too scared to just push themselves beyond that point. So we all encouraged them, and they did it last night, kind of pressed the button, and now it's open to guests. And it's not perfect. There's bound to be some teething problems along the way, but you learn. And also, new guests and humans are incredible that they do not mind. They love the vulnerability almost of these small businesses and entrepreneurs doing their brilliant things and setting up unique services. And to have something that isn't quite perfect, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to destroy your business.
Right.
But anyway, I think that all of your comments there are fantastic. And so what's next for you? What's next for your business? What are you focusing on now?
Yeah, so the US is the place that look, if you can make it in the US, you can make it anywhere. And so we had a great start in Europe from our European operations out of Estonia. Now what we really want to do is bring all those learnings, bring all that insight, bring all that hard work to the US. And so we feel that the US is such an untapped market, is so young, especially in the outdoor kind of nature hospitality space. I think there's a lot more countries and regions of the world that are a lot more mature in this area. So there's a lot to room to grow from that aspect. So we're very excited. We now have about 50 of our units out in the wild in the US. And I mentioned these dozen or so units that went out west to the Pacific Northwest, which that's not even counted in those 50. But so the US is going to be our main focus for the time being. We want to make sure that we get in front of as many beautiful kind of lands and owners that and operators that really align with our brand and are aligned with our core values. So that's first and foremost. And look, we have some exciting products coming down the pipe. As beautiful as the reflective glass looks right behind me, we're coming up with a golden house. And so that'll be another great product to have out there, something that would be very unique and something that people I think will really gravitate to. And we're excited to show our products at the glamping show next fall. So we'll be out there and again, hopefully getting in front of as many folks as we possibly can and giving them the product and the guest experience that they're really looking for.
Now I look forward to seeing you at the show then and seeing your new products. I mean, the Golden House sounds amazing. I'm really intrigued.
It'll be something to really see, and again, and it's something that a lot of folks won't. It'll be something that you can unsee. Just put it that way. Yeah,
That sounds incredible.
see it. So should be great.
So how would someone get in touch with you? Can you share your details if someone wants to reach out?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you can find us at oddhouse.com. That's our main website. I'm on all kind of social networks. Instagram is, I think, where we do a lot of our social media. The Instagram handle OOD Houses. Find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, in any which way you can try to track us down, we have either someone on board that you can reach out to directly, and I'm happy to take calls and set up meetings. And even through our website, we have virtual tours of our factory in Houston, Texas, which is a great way for people to really come here, look at the product, kick the tires, really see the true value in what we're doing every day. And I promise to feed all of you lots of barbecue if you make it down to Texas. So.
Oh, that sounds like an offer we cannot refuse. Well, thank you so much, Antonio. It's great to have you here. I'm looking forward very much to seeing more of you and your products as you move forward. And of course, we will share in the notes all of your links so people can just click on those. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you at the show.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. It's been fun. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.